How many times have we interviewed a writer in the last 10 years?
Rolling Stone doesn't interview writers.
There hasn't been a writer like this. Let me have this story.
What's this story about in your mind?
Just what it's like to be the most talked about writer in the country, that sort of thing.
You're like a nervous guy, huh?
No, I'm okay. How are you?
Because I'm terrified.
Were you familiar with David Foster Wallace before you got into this?
I was, yeah. I had read a lot of his short form stuff, but I had never read Infinite Jest, which was the big thing to tackle. And it
Like 1,000 pages or
it's
something.
1,000+ pages of hard reading, and sometimes you get angry while you're reading it. It's not totally pleasant the whole time, but you walk away feeling really satisfied and moved. And I feel like the movie is really an extension of those themes. That's how I felt when I read the script.
Well, and you did a lot of research into this in creating the look, the voice, everything about this.
Yeah, well, David Foster Wallace means a lot to a lot of people in varying capacities, and so you have to honor that, I think, by getting as accurate as you can possibly be without it being an impression. But more importantly, I just wanted to make sure that I felt like I felt the right way. And James really helped me with that, and talking to people who knew him at the time really helped with that. And I think it's a very universal feeling, this moment where you realize, wait, I've done everything that I'm supposed to do, and I don't feel the way I've been told I'm going to feel.
Talk about that in adapting this and getting this to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I was a David Foster Wallace fan since I was a teenager. Really adored his writing, and the adaptation of David Lipsky's book was done by my playwriting professor from college, Donald Margulies, who just wrote a really
Pulitzer Prize winner.
Pulitzer Prize winning playwright. Yeah, and he, I had read Lipsky's book and I loved it. But I think what Donald did was he crafted a really emotional, sort of relatable, unrequited love story. A story about meeting someone who you measure yourself against and finding your worth, finding your value, but also really a story about two men at a moment in their life when they're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
I think that if there's a sort of sadness for people under 45, it has something to do with pleasure and achievement and entertainment. Like a sort of emptiness at the heart of what they thought was going on.
Such a literate movie, and Jesse Eisenberg's wonderful in it as well. Talk about dealing with the chemistry between these two actors, because the movie lives or dies basically in how they play off each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'd been a fan of Jason and Jesse forever. I mean, Jason, I loved on Freaks and Geeks. It's one of my favorite shows ever, and Jason for me was the emotional anchor of the show. And when we first met and started talking about the character, I realized he was so perfect for the role. And Jesse I had loved since, I think, Roger Dodger was the first thing I saw him in. They had never met before. They had never worked together before. And we really hoped to, to capture two people sort of falling for each other. And they were just amazing together.
Wow, what was it for you working with Jesse?
It was the best working experience I've ever had. We were staying in a little hotel-y, motel-y thing in negative 15-degree weather, and we would drive to work together every morning and go over our lines because it's so dialogue-driven, and you really have to be perfect. You can't improvise David Foster Wallace's words. And then we would act with / against each other all day long, because it is a little bit like a friendly yet competitive tennis match where you need the other person to volley, but the whole time you're thinking, like, when do I destroy them?
I mean, I think everyone was inspired by Jason and Jesse because they had to be on point to know all of their lines, and there was so much dialogue, and they were just tireless, prepared. Everyone was in good spirits, and it was a really amazing experience.